We live in a world that constantly demands more. More output, more speed, more hustle. We're told that success requires sacrifice, late nights fueled by caffeine, and the relentless pursuit of the next massive breakthrough. This mindset, rooted in the idea of the big leap, is a recipe for one thing: burnout. You sprint for weeks, crash for a month, and then feel guilty for the cycle repeating itself. But what if there was a way to achieve profound, lasting success, not by sprinting, but by gently walking? What if the secret to instant sustainable productivity wasn't about doing more, but about improving slightly, continuously, and almost effortlessly? I want to introduce you to a profound concept that is the bedrock of Japanese efficiency, quality, and calm: Kaizen. Kaizen, simply translated, means change for the better. It is not a management tool. It is a philosophy of life that rejects the exhausting, all-or-nothing approach. It teaches us that monumental change is simply the aggregate of tiny, microscopic improvements. When you stop striving for the 100% overhaul and start focusing on the 1% refinement, the resistance vanishes and productivity becomes automatic, flowing like a quiet river instead of a violent waterfall. This is how the 1% of the most effective Japanese professionals operate. They don't hustle, they refine. Today, we are going to dive into 10 practical, gentle secrets derived from Kaizen that you can implement immediately to transform your output without sacrificing your peace. The first and most immediate technique you can adopt is the Kaizen concept of the 1-minute rule. This rule is the entry point into eliminating procrastination and reducing cognitive load. It states that if a task takes 1 minute or less to complete, you must do it immediately, right now. Do not file it, do not schedule it, and certainly do not postpone it. Think about the small frictions that accumulate throughout your day. Wiping down the counter after making coffee, putting a dish directly into the dishwasher, responding to a simple email, filing a single piece of paper, or putting your keys back on the hook. Individually, these tasks are trivial. Collectively, they become a mountain of mental debris. Every time you postpone a 1-minute task, you are creating a mental bookmark, a tiny cognitive interruption that drains your focus away from deeper work. By ruthlessly adhering to the 1-minute rule, you instantly declutter your physical space, and more importantly, your mental bandwidth. This is the simplest form of Kaizen, ensuring that your environment is always slightly better than it was 60 seconds ago. Our second secret, and perhaps the most crucial mindset shift, is rejecting the big leap mentality. Western productivity culture often fixates on the dramatic: the New Year's resolution, the 90-day challenge, the complete life overhaul. Kaizen teaches us that these dramatic shifts are inherently unstable. They rely on unsustainable levels of motivation, which is a fleeting emotion. Instead, we must embrace the power of the infinitesimal. If you want to write a book, don't commit to writing 5 chapters this week. Commit to writing 1 sentence today. If you want to run a marathon, don't start with a 10-mile run. Commit to putting on your running shoes for 5 minutes. The goal here is to make the task so small, so gentle, that the psychological resistance is zero. Japanese companies understood this deeply. They didn't try to revolutionize the assembly line overnight. They focused on finding one micro-adjustment every day, a slightly better placement for a tool, a slightly faster way to tighten the bolt. Over a year, 365 tiny improvements yield exponentially better results than one failed, massive initiative. Start small enough that failure feels impossible. Next, we move to the physical environment with the secret of the power of visual order, deeply rooted in the 5S methodology. Specifically, we focus on Seiton, which means setting in order. Productivity is often mistakenly viewed as a function of speed, but true productivity is the elimination of friction. Imagine needing a specific file or tool. If you spend 5 minutes searching for it, that is 5 minutes of wasted time. But more detrimentally, it is 5 minutes of fractured concentration. Seiton demands that everything has a designated place, and that place is clearly marked or immediately obvious. The key Japanese insight here is that visual clutter is mental clutter. A visually ordered environment signals to your brain that the workspace is under control, allowing your focus to immediately lock on to the task at hand. When you set up your workspace so that you can find what you need in under 5 seconds, you are not just saving time. You are protecting your deep work capacity. This continuous small act of maintaining order is a powerful Kaizen habit that ensures your productivity is instant because the stage is always set. Our fourth secret shifts from environment to process, breaking down the mammoth using the 5 whys. Procrastination often hits hardest when we face a large, intimidating task. We see the mammoth and we freeze. Kaizen provides a simple yet profound method for deconstructing this paralysis, known as the 5 whys. While traditionally used for root cause analysis in manufacturing, we can apply it to our own resistance. When you feel blocked, ask why 5 times in sequence. I am procrastinating on this report. Why? Because it feels too complex. Why does it feel too complex? Because I don't know where to start the research. Why don't I know where to start the research? Because I haven't defined the scope. Why haven't I defined the scope? Because I haven't read the initial brief. Why haven't I read the initial brief? Because the brief is in a confusing folder. The solution is no longer finish the report, but the tiny single step. Move the brief to the desktop. By identifying the tiny, immediate barrier, you convert a terrifying mammoth into a single, manageable ant. This is instant productivity unlocked by clarity, not effort. This leads us directly to the 5th secret, the concept of muda, eliminating waste. In the language of Kaizen, muda means futility, uselessness, or waste. The Japanese Industrial Revolution understood that true efficiency is not about maximizing output speed, but about ruthlessly eliminating waste. For personal productivity, we must identify our own forms of muda. Are you engaging in unnecessary motion? Walking back and forth to grab supplies? Are you over-processing? Spending an hour formatting a document that only needed a quick draft? Are you waiting? Constantly checking email while waiting for a response instead of switching tasks? The moment you identify a source of muda, you must apply the Kaizen principle, refine it, or remove it entirely. If you waste 15 minutes a day waiting for your computer to boot up because you have too many programs running, the Kaizen solution is not to work harder during the other hours, but to spend 5 minutes optimizing your startup sequence. Eliminating waste is often the fastest path to instant productivity because you are recovering time that was already yours. Our 6th profound technique is memowashi, laying the groundwork. Memowashi literally translates to going around the roots, and it is used in Japanese gardening when transplanting a tree. You prepare the roots and the soil long before the actual move. In a business context, it means informally preparing the ground for a decision before the official meeting. For personal productivity, nemawashi is the art of strategic, low-stakes preparation that builds momentum. If you have a difficult presentation tomorrow, nemawashi is not writing the slides, it is opening the presentation software, creating the title slide, and gathering the relevant data files. If you plan to work out tomorrow morning, nemawashi is laying out your gym clothes and filling your water bottle tonight. These are small, non-committal actions that lower the activation energy required for the main task. By doing the nemawashi, you trick your brain into thinking the task has already begun, eliminating the dread of the empty page or the cold start. The seventh secret is a powerful practice called Ichigo Zanmai, deep single focus. This ancient term, often associated with Zen discipline like calligraphy or archery, means being totally absorbed in one action, treating that singular task as the most important thing in the universe. In our modern, multitasking environment, Ichigo Zanmai is revolutionary. It is the conscious rejection of task switching. When you are writing, you are only writing. When you are analyzing data, you are only analyzing data. Every time we switch tasks, our brain pays a switching cost, a productivity toll that often takes 15 to 20 minutes to recover from. Kaizen teaches that improving quality is often more productive than increasing quantity. By committing to Ichigo Zanmai for even 25-minute blocks, you ensure that the small amount of time you dedicate to a task is used with 100% efficiency, leading to a higher quality output that requires less rework later. Another form of eliminating muda. Now, for a secret that seems counterintuitive to Western hustle culture, but is absolutely critical to sustained Japanese productivity. Inemuri, or strategic napping and presence. Inemuri literally means sleeping while present. It is the practice of brief, strategic rest taken openly, often sitting upright at a desk or on public transit, to maintain long-term alertness. This is not laziness. It is a cultural acceptance that the brain needs micro-rest periods to process information and prevent fatigue. The Japanese understand that continuous, grinding effort leads to diminishing returns and errors. If you feel your energy dipping, instead of pushing through with diminishing effectiveness, take a formal 5-minute inemuri break. Close your eyes, let your mind drift, but remain present in your location. This small restorative pause is a Kaizen improvement applied directly to your energy levels. By proactively managing your energy in small increments, you avoid the massive unproductive crash that requires hours of recovery. Our ninth essential Kaizen practice is humble self-reflection, Hansei. Hansei is the process of acknowledging your mistakes and weaknesses with humility, focusing not on blame, but purely on how to prevent the error next time. In Western culture, we often celebrate success and gloss over failures, or we assign blame externally. In the Kaizen framework, Hansei is the engine of continuous improvement. At the end of every day or week, take 5 minutes to practice Hansei. Do not ask, "What did I accomplish?" Ask, "What went wrong? And what is the smallest possible adjustment I can make to prevent that error from recurring?" If you missed a deadline, the Hansei is not, "I need to work harder." It's, "I failed to apply the 1-minute rule to filing the brief, which led to a search delay." By humbly identifying the microscopic flaw in the system, you perform a tiny, targeted improvement that immediately boosts future productivity. Hansei turns failure into the most valuable data point for refinement. Finally, we arrive at the 10th secret, which is how we lock in all the previous gains. Standardizing the small win. Shitsuke is the fifth and final S in the 5S system, meaning sustain or self-discipline. It is the crucial step of turning a successful small improvement into a non-negotiable standard. Let's say you successfully applied the 1-minute rule for a week and noticed a significant reduction in clutter and stress. The Kaizen principle demands that you formalize this. This is no longer an optional habit. It is the new baseline for how your day operates. If you discovered through Hansei that checking email only twice a day dramatically increased your focus, then that practice becomes the new standard operating procedure. Standardization prevents regression. Without Shitsuke, all those beautiful 1% improvements, the clear desk, the organized files, the strategic rest, will inevitably erode. Sustained productivity is only possible when the small wins are treated as the foundation, not as temporary experiments. The brilliance of Kaizen lies in its gentle, relentless persistence. It doesn't ask you to overhaul your life. It asks you to improve it by 1% today. It understands that monumental success is simply the long-term compounding interest of tiny, almost invisible changes. When you stop chasing the dramatic, exhausting big leap and instead commit to the 1-minute rule, eliminating your personal muda, practicing humble Hansei, and standardizing your small victories, you unlock a sustainable flow. You are not hustling. You are building a system that makes success inevitable. You are not striving for productivity. You are living it. This is the true 1% secret of Japanese success. The recognition that rest and refinement are not the enemies of productivity, but its essential components. By applying these 10 gentle steps, you can transition from a cycle of burnout to a state of calm, continuous, and instant efficiency. Take one of these secrets, just one, and commit to applying it today. Start small. Start now. You will be astonished at how quickly the 1% changes compound into a life of profound, effortless output. Thank you for joining me on this journey into quiet productivity. If you found peace in these secrets, please consider subscribing for more insights into Japanese culture and gentle living. Until next time, embrace the small step.